Good morning. You're joining us live here on India Today's social media handles. I'm Akshita Nandagopal, getting you all the top stories that we're tracking this Tuesday morning. What's the one issue everyone's talking about today? What's dominated headlines is in fact the ED grilling of Rahul Gandhi, and the fact that yesterday he was questioned for 10 hours and the ED has chosen to call him in today as well for questioning. This is of course in the National Herald case. We saw very dramatic scenes playing out on the streets of Delhi, not just in Delhi really, but it was pan-India protests. In Delhi, there was no permission given by the Delhi police, which meant that some of the senior-most leaders of the Congress were detained because they were out on the streets holding this protest march, which repeatedly they've referred to as a satyagraha, saying that this is a fight against the agencies being misused by the Modi government. So I just want to round up for you what happened yesterday and then talk about what's expected today. So yesterday you had all of these leaders being detained. What became the big headline was the likes of senior leaders, former Union Minister P. Chidambaram accusing the Delhi police of manhandling him. He, as well as several other leaders, according to the Congress, Pramod Tiwari, they all suffered hairline fractures because of the Delhi police's alleged manhandling. This is what the Congress claims. As far as the Delhi police is concerned, they're saying there was absolutely no manhandling, but if there was any, we're willing to take appropriate action on that front. But this has become the big political talking point as well, as the Congress has said that the BJP is stooping to all levels, not just summoning Rahul Gandhi, but not giving permission for a peaceful protest march in a democracy. They're asking why they weren't allowed to hold this kind of a protest march, why they were detained and even manhandled, according to, in fact, the Congress. So that has led to an interesting war of words. But the BJP yesterday said all of this is nothing but tamasha, it's drama, and that the Congress is trying in turn to pressurize the central agency. Not just that, they've also claimed now that there is an intermediary called Dotex, which they say alleged is a shell firm, which is something the ED is looking into, which also gave a loan to young Indians. So they're saying that that was a shell company that was used to launder money by the Gandhis. So that's another allegation that's come to the fore in this entire National Herald case saga. Today, what's expected is that Rahul Gandhi will be appearing before the Enforcement Directorate at about 11:30 or so. He's going to be again accompanied by Priyanka Gandhi. Like yesterday, brother-sister in a show of unity will be marching towards the ED office. Congress leaders have already started gathering at the party headquarters, but it's clear that it's not going to be again easy for them to march to the ED office, because we've already gotten reports of many of them being detained. I had a conversation earlier with the likes of Congress MP Tagore, who says that section 144 is in place, yes, in Akbar Road, which is where their office is, but that there were just 4 of them, which is not in violation of the prohibitory orders, and despite that they were detained. This is what the Congress maintains. So essentially today too, the Delhi cops have made it very clear that there's no permission that's being granted for this particular protest march, which is why as much as they can, they will try to detain many of them. They won't be allowed to move forward as well. At the Enforcement Directorate, where our reporters are, there's huge security that's been deployed there as well. 3-layered barricades that have been put up to ensure nobody can cross it and make their way towards the ED building. Only Rahul Gandhi will be allowed inside. Yesterday he was questioned for 10 hours. Now sources in the ED have told us that the reason he's been summoned is because there are a lot more questions that they want to ask Rahul Gandhi about the transfer of shares from AJL to Young Indian, about the Gandhis, about the loan of 90 crores that was transferred from AJL again to Young Indian, and despite the fact that Young Indian just paid 50 lakhs for that. How did that happen? All of those are questions that they're asking him about Dotex, which I mentioned is allegedly a shell company, which had also given a loan to, in fact, Young Indian at a time when Young Indian's valuation was something like 5 lakhs. They gave a 1 crore loan to this company. So all of those questions is something that Rahul Gandhi will face. ED is mentioning here, and sources within the agency have told us here in India Today, that Rahul Gandhi yesterday during the questioning was largely evasive. So they're saying that that's why they believe that another day of questioning is important. Will he be summoned for a 3rd day? At this point, we don't know, but it will largely hinge upon what comes out, what emerges from the grilling today. And trust us here on India Today to get you those updates as well. Remember that Sonia Gandhi has also been summoned by the ED. She is currently down with COVID, which is why her summon date has been pushed. But a lot will depend on how Sonia's questioning will go, based on what Rahul Gandhi also says to the Enforcement Directorate. So far, the ED maintaining that he's been rather evasive during the questioning. We'll be getting you all the latest updates on this top story, on this big story of the day. For the moment, thanks for tuning in. Stay with us here on India Today for all the big political headlines from that story.